Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Backcap episode number 10, I think. Today,
Eight.
we are going to be covering all things new patch, 222 roll lock, Sigma, balls, and new schedule coming out, Overwatch predictions. I've already cracked Maple up. Below me is Maple Syrup.
It's 8. It's not 10.
Yeah,
We're on episode 8.
you haven't been putting up with us for that long. I mean, you have, but not in this format.
You've liked like 3, 2. Oh, never mind. Just keep talking. Whatever. It's fine.
Wow, okay, it's literally written here on episode 8. Okay.
Nailed it.
Shit.
Good job, Hops.
It feels like episode 10. Anyway, my name is Hops. To my whatever that is Squid. Below me is Maple Syrup. And how are you guys doing?
Dude, I'm good. It's
I'm
been a
okay.
juicy week in real life, and it's been a juicy week for Overwatch.
A juicy week is right for Overwatch.
We
I'm
have
tired.
I'm hoping that next week you will be able to see Maple's lovely face, but currently he is throwing at checking his mail.
Oh no, I checked it. I went to the post office. I did
I'm
everything.
calling bullshit.
I did everything.
I think this is just going to be like one of those running gags in the podcast that like if you ever watch Jack Black's YouTube channel where it's like supposed to be him gaming with his kids, but then every week he's like, I didn't get the heckin' darn Elgato set up. I think that's going to be like the gag for our podcast. It's like next week is the week that Maple gets a podcast.
Someday.
All right, so let's just jump into it today. The biggest thing that come out is Sigma. Looks like he is
that
confirmed.
really the biggest thing? Are you sure?
It's the biggest thing going right now that isn't old news.
He's so hot. I want him. I want to control him. He's so that intro was cool.
All right, we're learning things about Maple today.
It was.
That's all I know.
That was that not the coolest intro? No matter what.
It was so good.
Like, yeah.
Have all the heroes gotten a video like that?
All like half of the new heroes have gotten like that 2D like cartoony. Sombra got one. Orisa got one. Baptiste got one.
It's really yeah, I think the only one that didn't get it was Ashe, because Ashe actually had like a cinematic.
Yeah.
Other than that,
it really hit that existential, ethereal, like spooky bone in my left foot. That's where I think my spooky ethereal bone is.
I think it's somewhere like high in the right leg. I think your body's a little messed up.
He is vegan, so
yeah.
It's true. It's true.
So
that would do it.
So let's just go around the horn here real quick. Squid, what is the number one thing you want to see from Sigma?
The lore is lore an acceptable answer? No.
Ability.
I was not prepared to answer this question by any means.
Good.
I think one of the things that I've wanted to see in this game for a while is a tank that can kind of like control your allies a little bit. And that sounds like it would be horrible for our community because people would abuse it. But I don't know, like something that would give teammates like upward mobility, or I don't want to say speed them because we already have Lucio to do that. But I don't know, something different than just like a normal ass shields. And like, to be fair, they've been good about that, right? Like, Hammond has been very different than the normal kind of like quote unquote shield main tank. But really, I'm just happy to finally get a Talon tank and another tank. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Maple.
I don't understand because like he keeps talking about black holes and controlling gravity, but like there's already 2 characters that control gravity to some degree. There's Zarya and there's Orisa.
Where do you think they got that ability from?
Yeah, thank you. I understand. I'm just curious what his abilities are going to be, because like it's not going to be like a black hole, like Zarya's ult. But I feel like I want to hope for like a Samus sort of like character, because he did like the thing in the intro where he like switches back and forth between prisoner and super badass Talon boy. So that'd be cool if like his ultimate would like release some sort of ability and then like switch between 2 ability sets or something that are slightly different, like one like buffs like your teammates and one like nerfs the enemy or something.
I was
So-
gonna say it'd be really cool to have like a Jekyll Hyde thing where he
Yeah.
presses Q and he goes crazy, and then I was like, wait, we have Winston.
But
So
it
they
also
won't.
might be. It could be like a passive, not like a passive, but like a cooldown thing. You just switch back and forth.
That would be really cool.
That would be a cool concept as well.
Mhm.
But
That-
like almost like how we have crossfade for Lucio, but it
yes, but
switches
like
your abilities.
yes,
I could fuck with that real hard.
I almost think that
cool.
is way too clever for anything Blizzard would do.
I disagree.
It's a great idea, but I just don't see Blizzard implementing that. Like, it would be amazing. I would love that idea, but it'd be interesting.
I think
I
over the development team will happily give the people another hero that they can play DPS while being on a tank role. Like I'm imagining there's like, if we were to do this, like you have like a more tanky like archetype in one mode and then a more like DPS-y archetype in the other mode.
Yep.
And 100% I expect if this happens for there to be people that just plays the DPS mode 100% of the time. Like our faithful DPS Moira's out there on the ladder. I salute you, and by I salute you, I mean please go eat a dick.
stop. I think with heroes like Baptiste and Wrecking Ball, you're seeing a lot more like they have high skill ceilings, but like they don't have to be effective. So like you can play something like that with a small brain and it can be sort of effective, but like you can master when to like switch back and forth between different like ability sets. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do that. I just think it'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
I think something maybe a little bit more realistic is if we see something like a black hole, but it's like eating enemy like projectiles and stuff in a radius, like a new defense
That would be
matrix.
cool. You mean
That'd
like
be
that, like the Titan? I think Titanfall. There was an ability that like destroyed.
Yep. I also
that'd be
think,
cool.
like, when I first saw what happened with Jeff in that teaser video, the first place my mind went to was a Grav-like ability that had the same approximate radius as Grav, but what it would do is actually exile the players for a certain period of time. It would suck everyone into that black hole. It would do a small amount of damage, remove them from the battlefield for
Because
3
people
seconds.
don't hate Sombra enough as it is.
Yeah, I don't think they.
I'm just saying, it's an interesting concept.
I think it would just piss people off too.
Oh, of course it would piss people off, but it wouldn't piss anybody off any more than EMP or...
No, I think
So-
it would.
So I think Blizzard has become, so while they understand that it's a MOBA style FPS game, I think they've definitely become more aware that people don't like not being able to play their fucking character.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see that with Nerfs to Sombra on PTR right now. We're even seeing some of the CCs kind of subside a little bit on characters like Brigitte. And I don't think that it would be, I don't know, with the way they've been going, I wouldn't expect them to be releasing a hero with that kind of.
You can
like,
see
ability.
just how quickly they walked away from CC after
yeah.
releasing Brig. And then they nerfed EMP just now, and they nerfed May. So now she can't like double freeze you with her Blizzard, which was the biggest pile of horse, because they did it where you can't stack speed things.
Oh, true.
So it
Yeah.
used to be like May, you get Blizzard, and then you get frozen even more, and it was like, well, this
And then you just quit the game.
sucks. Yeah, pretty much.
Still, like, Batiste, when he was released, it didn't reach this level of hype. Ash didn't hit this level of hype with me.
Ash is a dumb character. Let's
Okay.
be
But
real.
Bob though.
Exactly. Bob captured
The
imagination.
sexual paragon.
But, yeah, it's been a while.
Wrecking Ball hit the spot for me.
Okay, Wrecking Ball.
I love that.
Wrecking Ball definitely captured some of this hype train. But, like, seeing the amount of tweets come out in real time on Twitter, like, as it was released, it is big.
They did a good job on the origin. They did a very good job.
I just hope that it's a hero that sees impact upon being released, right? I think when we look at the last few heroes, I mean, we've had, what is the order even been? Baptiste. Before that, we had Hammond. Before that, we had Ash, right? Whatever order that was in.
Was it Ash before that? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
I
mean, all three of them had pretty low impact other than like Rascals, Baptiste being some spicy shit for shock. but even he's like the only person that really runs it. So I'd
I
love to
think-
see a character that actually hits the scene and like is impactful, but without being as fucking game breaking as Brig was upon release.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to comment on impact of new heroes when we've only seen goats for the last few stages,
Mhm.
and
Yeah. And then
no
when,
one's gonna walk away from that when it's like the primo meta. So I'm not gonna make any commentary about that. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as people started walking away, you saw a lot more in Wrecking Ball.
the one thing I will say,
So-
Maple, is that chat disagrees with your take on Ashe being worthless. I
Ash
will
is good.
I will say that.
Yeah,
So.
Dynamite's really strong.
She might be
Super
better in
strong.
2-2. That's true. I kind of wish they would nerf Dynamite's initial like damage.
Yeah.
Not the damage over time, but the initial damage is actually really high.
I have my only issue with damage, or with Dynamite, is the range in which she could throw it. She should not be able to yeet it like a Olympic discus, like
I mean, she's-
Olympia.
Well, why
like
not?
she
Dynamite's
yeets it
pretty light.
hard,
I would imagine
Dynamite's pretty light, bro.
but still,
Also,
like,
she's like,
Dude, she has to be able to
juice.
throw Bob. She should be able to throw
well,
Dynamite.
she doesn't
she's
throw
literally-
Bob.
She's literally throwing
I
Bob.
know.
Let's be real. She's like reaching her arm way up into the sky and invisibly bringing him down.
She's the real
That's
strong
what's
bitch in
happening.
Overwatch.
And then when she's
All
done,
about
she
it.
reaches over where he is, grabs him by his butt cheeks, and throws him back in the air.
I would like to see, honestly, if we're talking about changes to Ashe, instead of bringing down the initial damage's like base number, I'd like to see kind of like the nerf that they gave to Junkrat's concussion mine, where they changed how the damage fall off is with radius, like with distance to where the dynamite explodes, right? So that it falls off faster. So if it's like the dynamite's right on top of you, yeah, if dynamite explodes on you, that shit's gonna hurt. But
Yeah.
if you're further away, it would do less damage. Yeah. You're goddamn right. I throw ranked
Yeah.
games every day. You're goddamn right. That's how
Okay.
you get strong.
Well, yeah, of course, tons of
I think
people
we've
hate.
hit the spot on speculation for heroes. Literally have no idea what
No.
else I could say
More
about it.
mindless speculation. It's
Cool
so much
intro. That's
All
pretty
right.
much all I can say.
All right. So then, taking the tone of the room, let's move on to the summer games. We have a new format this year, obviously, with the win 10 games or win 9 games and you get your skin.
Oh.
I
I
dig
was like,
it.
what are you talking about summer
I-
games? And then I was like, oh, right, we have an event going on right now.
Yeah, the event going on. What do you guys think of the change?
I enjoy the quest-based epic skin acquisition. I think it's fun. I think encourages people to play things that maybe they don't play. Also, it means like you're assured that you're gonna get more than one skin. Like I only get a couple skins per event now because the lottery does not love me apparently. But at least now I'm gonna get 3 skins, and they're good skins. Like the Reaper skin looks damn good.
I mean, the Reaper skin looks good. The May skin, she already
May
has
skin looks
similar
good.
ones.
The Reaper one.
The Reinhardt skin looks
so
good.
The Reinhardt skin looks good.
But
I think my bigger problem with this event is that it's, at least for me, it's completely overshadowed by PTR. Like
I think that's the point, though. They were like, they didn't change anything, and that was why. They were just like, whatever. We don't care because we know you're not going to give a shit.
yeah, I mean, why
So-
cater to the 34 people who actually enjoy Lucio Ball when we
Not
can just
Marco.
throw out
there
throw
are
out
at least 500 people because people flesh out the leaderboard.
Don't say that to Pavel Screechy.
He's here, man. He's gonna
I-
come for you.
I have no issue with them recycling the game mode because, like, I mean, they were working on the damn roll queue for a year.
Yeah.
And they released it, and I wouldn't want to overshadow it with like a better event.
Yeah, and this goes back to the complaints about the archives event and everything, and why it was so recycled and seemed kind of half-assed.
That would
If
do
their
it.
entire dev team is working on roll queue and rewriting the
year.
matchmaking from the get-go, like that would explain.
It's
I
because
don't
they
know.
rebuilt their entire matchmaking. They
Mhm.
literally, and
Yeah.
the first one took them like 3 years to make.
Mhm. Yep.
Like the fact that they could even do this in like 1 year, I'm pretty impressed. Especially because they have to manage 3 different matchmaking systems for each person. Like I would imagine it's a sight more complicated than the original one, but they had quite a bit of like base work to work off of.
I'm really curious to see if we will see the dev team shift back more towards producing more kind of like event content, or if they're going to try to continue to make strides to make the base game more enjoyable, right? I think that's like there are pros to both of those things, right? But I think that if you could get people to actually give a shit about like playing ranked every season and, enjoy playing ranked at least to some extent, that might do more good than just like, the same 3 scheduled events
No.
every year or however
I
many.
mean, if you look at it, is now that their dev time is mostly freed up from being able to actually introduce the role queue and whatnot, do you think we're going to get new events? Or, even though Jeff kind of hinted that we were, or do you think that most of that dev time is going to be rerouted into Overwatch 2?
I don't know.
So let me say, as somebody, so I don't work in a game development world or a CS world, but I work in a world where there's a lot of programmers. There's no such thing as time being freed up. Just want to say that first and foremost. So I'm sure the matchmaking system, how it is, and role queue has been probably mostly freed of development for the last couple months and has mostly been in testing. Um, and my guess is that whoever's been freed up for that is there's probably some people that are working on Overwatch 2, and there's some people that are continuing to work on um, other things that are yet to come, as far as things to continue to improve on the ranked experience. I think they're kind of on a crusade right now to try to make that more enjoyable and make Overwatch 1 be able to continue to thrive for at least a couple more years.
Seems like a good hill to fight on too. Seems like they really found their way with the role queue.
I definitely think that the Overwatch 2 could be more of like what Rainbow Six Siege did, right? They pretty much spent an entire development cycle working on balances, bug fixes, trying to make their game as clean and polished as possible, and then they went back into adding a new content. Then they went back into adding new fancy stuff. Heroes of the Storm did the exact same thing. I think it was 2.0 for Heroes of the Storm, where they went back and basically rewrote things from the ground up to give it a better feel and a better quality of life. So I almost wonder if Overwatch 2 is going to be something similar, because I still just do not think that a Overwatch 2 PvE game is going to be a standalone successful product.
I think Overwatch 2 might just be like additional quality of life stuff, new content like aesthetics, and maybe like a PvE storyline, but it's not going to be a standalone item.
I will say I have seen links. I've seen leaks. I don't know if they're true or not.
They're not
But if
true.
they are, it's none of those things.
Is it the leaks that said that it was Left 4 Dead, basically Left 4 Dead with Omnics?
What is it?
Nope.
Tell us.
Overwatch Tactics. Makes sense. Makes sense in the current game development world.
I mean, kind of, but I don't really think that's a transition they would make. I really
That's
don't.
so
I think
weird.
you'd still keep base Overwatch, but you can try to market that as like a mobile game / kind of like Hearthstone, where you can play it on your phone or on your computer, kind of thing.
I guess.
I mean, that's a very interesting concept, because
I don't think they would do it. I think they would leave that to like Hearthstone or something. They wouldn't. I don't think they would have Overwatch team.
I definitely think that World of Warcraft Tactics makes more sense, because there are thousands of characters you could put in there, and so you could always keep evolving, you could always keep changing. But Overwatch Tactics is interesting.
I think it would be a big moneymaker for them, to be completely honest, if they could put out a good product as far as that's concerned. Because it's basically like free money, right? You get to capitalize on a world that you've already made, and you get to cash in on what like the current hot genre is. And yeah, it's just the kind of get rich quick scheme that Activision likes. So why not?
Activision likes, but it would be a first dramatic step on that path for Blizzard, which, considering how many of their long-term employees, like one of their founders just left last week.
I saw that.
I mean, it could be that Activision is forcing their hand a little bit more, which I would hate to see, but it would be interesting. That's got me all thinking. The only tactics game I want to see is Pokemon, though.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
You give me a Pokemon game,
That would be
tactics.
so easy because there's already
Yo.
3 level.
Yeah.
Game dev
Workshop
companies
was-
hire us. We have the big brain ideas.
I mean,
People being angry with the meta made Workshop get overshadowed. And it took them ages to make. No, it took them like 4 months and only 2 people worked on it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that Workshop was literally like a labor of love from 2 random
It was
devs.
just Kevin and what's his name?
Do you like know these guys? Have you talked to these guys?
They're
Maple?
in the server, I believe. I don't know who they are.
which server, Maple? Now's your chance to plug.
The Workshop server. There's
What?
cool people in there. You can ask them to make you game modes of your choice. Also, pray to God that they make a fucking map developer, because if they do, then like the people on that server are gonna blow their minds open. Holy shit!
And
They're gonna be
for-
so happy.
If Blizzard can't release maps that the majority of the game base likes, how the fuck are the 99% of Papegas that play this game going to put out a decent map?
But the point is, a
Real
lot of people
talk.
don't want to make like decent maps for like gameplay. They want to make like good Lucio race courses or good like TTP
Okay.
race courses. They want to make like custom maps, because like as it is, you have to make volleyball with like fucking Castillo, which sucks because you're working along like the outside walls, but you
Mhm.
want to one like I think it'd be really cool. It would make a lot of game modes easier. Also, it'd be cool if they actually gave you more control over your AI and could expand AI beyond 12 slots. So then you could actually make auto chess for Overwatch, which a lot of people have tried to do. Doesn't work because there's not enough AI
Yeah,
control.
I mean
as
that is an interesting concept for sure. Like,
I watched so many discussions in that server about things that they wish they could do that they can't because they don't have enough control over this or that, or there's like some fundamental bug with the way the workshop works that prevents them from doing certain things.
Dude, you should find out who those guys are in the server and make some sort of pipeline to get
I
them
know.
feedback.
I know. Well, we
Because
have
you basically have like the hub for workshop
we
content.
we have like 2 channels devoted to feedback.
Mhm.
It's like a couple of rant channels, but they're like essentially just feedback because that's what people rant about, is the things that they want changed.
Yeah, but do you think a game dev for Blizzard wants to read our fucking rant channels?
No, but if I knew who it was, if I like knew how to contact them, I would just compile it into neatly
That's what I'm saying, dude.
kindly written
If-
sentences and shoot them forwards.
trust me, if they're in the server, just reach out and make a connection, my dude.
I don't know who they are.
Dude, ping
I have
everyone and
no
ask.
idea. Are you Kevin? Are you Kevin from the Overwatch team?
You're gonna have 3,000 DMs.
I mean, just-
I'll be Kevin.
I mean, I would love to see that. Just
Oh, I will absolutely. Maybe, hey Hops, email Jeff Kaplan.
Not about this. I'm not gonna burn my probably one time ever before I get blocked on the workshop.
Okay.
Give me his email and I'll do it. I'll take
Do
the
it.
sacrifice.
Give me
Hops.
the email.
No.
I'll cash in all my clout.
All right. All right. I think. What is
So-
it? Okay, what's league picking? really didn't read that
So
article.
so league picking is they've announced that for, I believe,
Start stage 4.
stage 4, you're going to be able to log into overwatchleague.com and make your selections of who's going to win any particular stage or any particular game. It's going to be just basically, is Shock or Valiant you going to win?
That's it?
You pick which one.
Oh.
The more picks you get correct, the more in-game owl tokens you're going to receive on the back end. Pick-and leagues are incredibly popular throughout other sports. I'm very intrigued that Overwatch is getting into it because Blizzard has said in the past that they will not get into gambling. But yet here we are. This is gambling adjacent.
Yeah, it's gambling adjacent. It's very different because you have nothing to win or lose. It's not like a loot box where like you're like, because there's no value to the tokens, whereas like a loot box there is like monetary value, right?
Well,
so it's not like
And
gambling.
you literally can't lose it. Like you only win.
You
right?
only
Mhm.
win.
You either get nothing or you win. There's no losing.
So I get why they're doing that.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. I'm
Yeah.
going to reap the benefits.
Winston's Labs Fantasy had such a good premise, and that is a story of why you pay your devs.
Yeah.
Basically, all
Would
there
have
is
been
to
really
it.
cool to have that for the whole season.
Yeah. Well, that, and I can honestly say that the Blizzard API is actually like
Dog shit.
garbage. Yes.
Still waiting on stats in season 2, by the way. They said they make them public, by the way.
Yeah. And so it's very hard with what they give. Like, I'm actually like shocked at how much you can get people like SAD to pull out of that API and make usable. Otherwise, it's garbage. It'll be very interesting to see if they actually expand this out into actually having fantasy teams next year. But then again, that dictates on having stats publicly available.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I mean, I've talked to I was talking to a friend of ours named DioFest the other day on Twitter, who's what's her background's in applied mathematics or statistics or something along those lines, and I was commiserating with her about how frustrating it is that like there are really interesting things to explore like statistics wise in Overwatch League, but nobody's able to actually do it because there isn't the data to actually do those things, right? Like literally the only people that have access to that kind of data are like half a dozen people at Blizzard. And it's really frustrating that like a whole I mean like you can't really get into like mathematical analyst work in Overwatch right now because literally the only way to do it is like spend all your time staring at a screen and like writing down fucking stats that way, or already being in Overwatch League. So there's like no path to making that happen right now, and it's a shame because stats is a huge part of sports now, and being able to break that down into something that like other people can understand and like the math behind some of this stuff can be really enjoyable for some people.
yeah, really, if you are a statistician or really in analytics, League of Legends is really about the only place you have where there's publicly available stats. You can deep dive into it. And so if you're a numbers guy or gal, League is where you want to go. But League is
I should learn League.
League is an interesting. Oh man, you'd lose your life. So let's go ahead and bounce off of that. We've already kind of touched about 222. Let's go ahead and bring that to the forefront. And now that we've actually seen how 222s work, we've all played around in the PTRs. How do you think that's actually going to affect real life competitive balance on the ladder?
Mabel, you go first.
It's hard to tell. I mean, it'll make it significantly easier because you don't have some thick-headed dunce deciding that they can frag out more than the DPS and switch off of healer. So that's nice. That was a wonderful surprise. Several times it's like, dang, these DPS aren't hitting it, and we're about to lose a tank, and then they couldn't switch, and I was like, ooh.
And I feel like I've had games on PTR too, where like there are definitely people that are underperforming and people that are on like I'll have like a tank that just fucking clutches out, and I'm like, you know what? In another world where we're on main server, that dude swapped to Pharah like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's nice in PTR because everyone's nice, and everyone who's playing in PTR knows that regular comp sucks, and they don't want to play regular comp. And they're the people that actually talk. I've only had one person like tilt. I don't really know why he tilted, but he wanted to play Hammond, I guess. No, he wanted to play. He wanted to play
Hog.
Roadhog, the guy who kept chucking himself off the edge.
It was the first time I'd ever seen anybody actively throw on PTR.
It was weird, and then he
Wow.
like started playing in the last minute and like did way more than our Hog did, but it was too little, too late. But I was playing on my own. It's like so nice.
Sorry, I'm gonna pause you and just appreciate the person in chat that said maple syrup kind of looks like Sigma.
You're right, I do. I do.
He actually does.
I'm sexy that way.
Sorry, please continue.
It's nice because I was playing DPS and I was like, man, I never play DPS because I suck at it. But you know what? My DPS rank, I'm playing at it, baby. It's separate from the rest of my rank. I can now throw on DPS and maintain my beautiful support SR.
Yep. And this eliminates the need for alternate accounts, really. Because
need to make my other account a Smurf and dunk on them silvers now.
I think there are reasons for people in and like Grandmaster and like in the really high ranks, there are reasons for it. I think there's probably also something to be said for just like if you are particularly on the high or low end and you want to be able to play with your friends, then maybe a second account for that. But yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
touched any of my not to. I haven't touched any account other than my main to play on PTR.
I was kind of surprised they didn't raise the competitive level at the same time. I was a little surprised by that to level like 50 or something, because now because like there's a legitimate like reason that you would let people have alt accounts so they can
Have
like
you
practice without throwing their SR down the drain. But like now you don't really have a reason for an alt account, so why
have
would you not just
you
raise the level?
have you tried to raise an account to level
Yes, it
25?
sucks. It
It's
sucks.
fucking horrible.
Well, that's why you. But like when you're new to the game, you don't know any different than quick play. So
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said for instead of spending like 10 years learning the game before hopping into ranked, like just get in as soon as you can. And like, yeah, you'll be in bronze. It's
well,
fine, but you only go up from there.
I mean,
That's where you learn the game and you get better.
you can raise the level. You can also boost the amount of XP you get from quick play. I'm fine with that. So they get it a little faster, but it's still a little longer, and it's still a bit of a grind for people that are making Smurfs.
So
But like really competitive is like you don't know it until you've tried it. You don't know what you're missing out on. And also roll
Oh,
queue.
you're missing out playing, not playing competitive.
Well, when roll queue is a thing, you are. But they're also adding roll queue to QP, so that also makes QP a little more bearable as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of argument to be made for raising the competitive requirement level.
I mean, kind of talking about the quick play aspect. What do you guys think about making quick play strictly 222 as well? I'm torn on it personally.
I agree with it. I think
Mhm.
that there should be, if not like a complete reflection of comp to quick play, there should be like a majority. There's no reason you wouldn't, because like at this point, arcade is the old quick play, especially because they're adding old style QP, and QP's like unranked essentially.
I have always been of the opinion that letting QP get to the point where people can go, it doesn't matter, it's quick play, I can do whatever the fuck I want, is one of the worst things they've let happen to this game.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
if that's what you want to do, there's an arcade for that, and there's
Yep.
a reason why they added that, and things like loot boxes there and everything is
Yep.
so that you can go do that. I think that quick play should basically be matchmaking light, but without repercussions on SR. And I think 222 will help make people actually at least a little bit give a fuck. And if not give a fuck, then at least you will have a somewhat reasonable team comp, as opposed to like I've had times where I'm like, man, I don't want to play ranked, but I really just want to go ham on honor right now.
Yep.
And then I have 5 DPS in my game and I die all game because there's
Yeah, it
like
sucks.
no tanks to help.
Which is why a higher level would be okay. Because I think having roll queue will make people take it a little more seriously. Just because you can't randomly switch to Hanzo because you realize that you can't do anything on Anna because you're dying all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to see how it actually actually rolls out. Let's see.
Yeah.
I think that's something also to, as far as rolling things out. I think the PTR is a very nice experience right now,
Yeah,
but I am not optimistic that the experience will remain the same when it goes to live.
Absolutely not.
You will still have your throwers and your shitheads in ranked.
Yep.
Get on the PTR while you can and enjoy it. It's quite nice. I definitely think it will still improve the quality of most games.
Absolutely.
But it won't improve the quality of the people that you're playing with.
Which is why it's easier than ever to mute people, because like it used to be like muting people and then you still had to worry about them throwing, but now they can only throw so much. So muting them feels even better. I don't know. It was a good patch. They added 222. They did a lot of damage creep mitigation. Just a crap ton of it, and they got rid of a lot of, or they mitigated a lot of CC. Sombra's EMP feels like shit now.
Yep.
It feels like you're dropping some fat fucking frames, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm looking at the patch notes right now. The activation time for her EMP has went from 0.5 seconds to 0.65 seconds.
The animation feels really weird. Like
yeah.
I was playing yesterday and I really thought that my game had crashed.
So have they changed the animation at all, or is
It's
it
just
the same
longer.
animation?
They just slowed it down.
The
Okay.
the animation between her crossing her arms and unfolding them, there's a slightly longer gap, and that's where they added the length of time, I guess, because that's the easiest point to elongate, because she's just sitting in midair. But because she's frozen for that little bit longer, it feels like your game crashed. It feels really weird.
Yeah, I'm looking through some of the other
It was a good patch though.
I'm looking through some
Yeah.
of the other patch notes, and obviously there's been probably the biggest debate to come out of these patch notes are the Moira changes, where she can pretty much fade out of anything now.
I haven't had a problem with it yet.
I
Really.
have fought with Moira Mains on Twitter over this. I think she is already an extremely unrewarding, low skill floor hero, and I think just making her even more, not like brain dead to play, but she basically has like a true get out of jail free card, and I think that's kind of bullshit.
I already find it difficult to hook and one shot a Moira without her
Mhm.
fading away as it is. But like to have her fade away like mid hook and like I just bring back my hook of nothing feels really sad.
I don't
Like,
know.
I could definitely agree that she needed more, like a little more utility or something. Despite I like the fact that, you know, her being a fairly easy character to use should also coincide with her not having like super high impact at high levels. But I would have rather seen them maybe do something where they increase her range a tiny bit on her primary fire, or something like that, where she still has to think about like what she's doing. She just doesn't, maybe she doesn't need to like aggress as hard with her team. But this is literally like she can just run up in a Roadhog's face and right click him and then get hooked and run away, or like right in front of a Reinhardt and then run away. And I think that's just like having a true get out of jail free card is poor game design. Like I think the closest thing that someone has to that in Overwatch is maybe Sombra's Translocate, but that has its counters and its punishes, and it also usually takes you out of the fight after you use it, which can't really be said for Moira's Fate.
The developer comment on the Moira change is interesting, where it says Moira has always been good at healing and dealing damage, but she offers very little utility compared to other healers. This change reinforces her evasive nature and allows her to potentially save her team from area stuns such as Reinhardt's Earthshatter. If you look at the core concept of how Moira was designed, that makes a lot of sense. But literally, like, I have a hard time wrapping my head around, if you are put to sleep, how can you fade? Like, if your character is unconscious on the ground snoozing, how can you fade?
Yo, it's a fake nap, dude. She's pretending to be asleep so her parents will leave her alone.
She
Just like being a teenager.
she looks like she would do that.
It's just one of
She
those
is
weird.
basically the angsty teenager of Overwatch.
It's just one of those buff discrepancy things where you just did like a broad sweeping buff and you're like, whoa. You didn't think about
Yeah.
that one, did you, bud?
I still don't think that, like, anything over probably 3.2, 3.3, I don't think this will matter because Moiras aren't played there anyway.
And also, you can still shoot her in the head once she's done fading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest change would be Brig. And going, she actually feels like playing a healer now. It's so, like,
it's very thoughtful.
She's going to have to, like, you're going to have to basically completely relearn how to play her. That shield feels like literally nothing.
It is literally nothing.
Yeah.
You look at the damage is creeped in this game.
How do you feel about the sim changes?
The sim changes. So for those who don't know, the teleporter now lasts an infinite duration until it's destroyed. Players can destroy their teleporter with the ability to input. Cooldown now starts when the teleporter is destroyed, not placed. Cooldown is increased from 12 to 15 seconds. Maximum range increased. And then a teleporter reuse time is increased from 1 second to 1.5.
I would have preferred a higher uptime on teleporters, but they still like time out on their own. I get what they're doing. They're trying to like make your how you use the teleporter more permanent instead of like it destroying itself when you're about to use. I like get the concept of why they changed it, but I wish they just changed the uptime.
I still, in my opinion, Symmetra is still the most I don't know, irredeemable character
Yeah,
in the game.
I don't
There's
know.
I think
Unless she gets
Mercy.
another rework, I don't think she will ever really see play outside of cheese comps.
no.
No.
But see, at least Mercy, I can make an argument with Mercy in almost every scenario that Mercy is okay. I'm not saying great, I'm just saying okay. I cannot think outside of a cheese bunker comp of where you would want a Symmetra on your team.
It would have been.
If you want to lose games, if you want to lose some SR,
I wish they had kept her in support, gotten rid of her teleporter, replaced it with a wall, and made shield generator on cooldown with like a 25 HP shield, because then she would have been like a proper support utility character.
Actually,
That would
yeah,
have been a way better build.
I would much rather have the shield generator on the same cooldown as teleporter than actually having the teleporter. I don't mind
You know
her
what?
ultimate.
I would be happy with her damage output if she was classed as a support and not a DPS.
It's just the teleporter requires so much coordination for people who meet and they're like, "Hey, let's do this TP thing." Cool.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
you just never use the teleporter again.
to comment Freakout's comment in chat, in low elo it is great to get through choke points. But I counter that with how much actual coordination and communication do you get in low elos to coordinate that teleport? Because you have to get your tank up there to provide support for Symmetra while she places the teleport. Then you have to get through it, and then you have to be like, oh, hey, there's a teleporter right here. Let's just focus fire on the other end because the team's coming out.
I think 9 times out of 10, when I've tried it on the Hanamura A choke, it ends in disaster and we get full hilt.
I've only ever done it once on Hanamura. It's just like one of those mechanics that like they tried to be big brain about it, like with Baptiste or Hammond, but like it's actually just big brain. It's not like you can be a small brain and use it effectively. It's just like you have to have a large brain and a team to use it in a way that actually redeems her for a full round as opposed to the first 30 seconds.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's almost been a little disappointing with me to me with Symmetra is that I thought she would find a place in professional play after the rework.
It would have been cool to see her.
The ability to actually teleport like long distances instantaneously is like the ability to reposition instantaneously. I thought would be really strong, but I think she just lacks like so much utility outside of that single teleporter that unless they like give her more or buff her damage even more, which please don't. I just don't think we'll ever really see her used that way again, and outside of like cheese comps.
I think the issue with her teleporter is also the fact that it takes so long to set up the teleporter in the right way. Once the shit hits the fan, you're not going to be able to quickly whip and make it work. And I think that is something mechanically that's holding your character back a little bit.
Like people are like, "Oh my god, you can teleport out of a Zarya graph." Well, yeah, but by the time you do it, you're dead because it takes like a second and a half to deploy.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I think that going back to the shield generator idea, if you're Symmetra and you're caught in a grab, if you could throw down the shield gen, that would provide at least a little bit of actual functional utility to your teammates to maybe try to get you through that graph. Like, it's an interesting... I mean, Pav in chat says that he's glad shield gen is gone, but I don't know. I just think shield generator in terms of an actual usable pro choice is just not going to work.
She's
Give
a hard
Torbjorn back armor packs.
She was like a hard kit. It was a weird kit. It was a, and I kind of get why they wanted to do it because it was a cool kit, but it's a rough one.
I think
balance.
I think we have seen. I think it's fair to say that when Overwatch makes characters that vary more from typical FPS tropes, so especially when they move away from things like having a gun, they notoriously and understandably have a hard time balancing that character to be playable, right? Yeah. Probably the best counterexample I could think of is Winston, because I think he's been honestly one of the best. I mean, have they like ever made changes to him other than they had that one bug with Primal or with Leap? But other than that, I think he's been pretty good. But I think a lot of the other characters you look at that don't have guns or something similar to a gun, they struggle to balance them well out of the gate or like long term.
Can't even think of anyone else who doesn't.
Brig.
That's it. Those are the only two.
Yeah.
Brig is a
Um,
mistake.
Zarya's beam.
Nah, Ryan's like
Ryan, yeah.
Ryan
I
was
guess
like
he's
well
technically-
balanced. He just kind of like became
But
unbalanced because of a meta, and also he's buggy as shit. That's
yeah,
not really a balanced
and
problem.
what?
Oh, Doomfist.
Doomfist.
Doomfist. Okay, Doomfist. Not that they literally fixed that after. No, they overcompensated at first, didn't they?
Yeah, they did,
They
and
brought
then
him
they
back
had to peel
after.
back.
They brought him back after that. They did him pretty quickly, and his was just number tweaking though.
Yeah.
They just fucked up on the number.
Well,
tweaking.
but I think also the problem was there, like after release, they changed some mechanic stuff within the game that like made him super buggy, and I think we're finally starting to see pieces of that fixed, and I'm hopeful that that means that. I mean, I'm hopeful that we never see him again because I'm a flex support main, but also as like a watcher of
just
Overwatch League,
angry
I hope
about
that.
him. People are just angry about him because they changed the size of his fist hitbox, so it was smaller and required actual skill.
It just like
It's kind of disgusting.
out of everything that Overwatch has ever done, Doomfist, in my opinion, is the worst.
Nah, Brig.
I would take original launch Brig, in my opinion, over Doomfist. I mean, some people will argue Sombra, like Super, like seeing him rage up whenever he gets hacked is entertaining, but no, like nothing's quite as like it's a Street Fighter character in a first person shooter that just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel good to play against whatsoever. I mean, yeah, he's pretty easy counterable.
But it's just hard to. I think there's something cool about that, and I think there's something really cool that Overwatch kind of incorporates tropes from other games into their FPS. Right? I think that's something really cool, right? I mean, even looking at like, if you think about Genji, like he's a pretty like non-traditional first-person shooter character, and he's incredibly fun to play, and et cetera, et cetera. And I like that they add those things. They just can be hard to integrate well into the game and like be competitive.
I think they did a good job with Doomfist. He's got some pretty hard counters. He's got some pretty like he's not a be all end all. I mean, he's not the best case scenario, but he's not the worst case scenario. He's not as bad as Hops colors him to be. I guess is my point.
I mean, he's pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean,
like 3 other characters in front of him.
The amount of people that I personally,
Torb's turret.
I mean,
Torb's turret's range is ridiculous.
I definitely think that Torb's turret and Bob need to have their range cut just.
Bob's I'm fine with.
Just a skosh.
It's only like 6 seconds.
I mean, at the very least, I would like to see more damage fall off on Bob.
Yes.
Besides that, yeah, Torb's turret's a little. Torb in general is pretty strong.
Even at the end of Junkertown, like 3rd point, if he's like next to spawn, he can hit you at the other end of that fucking lane. It's so dumb.
Yo, just stand behind a wall, forehead. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
So,
anyway,
the last thing I want to bring up, when in regards to the patch notes, is what do you guys think about the global ultimate cost being reduced by 12%? Have you noticed it all?
Mitigation. No, I haven't noticed. I think it's a good idea.
So I don't think it's damage creep mitigation. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that just people have gotten better at the game over the last couple years. I mean,
and it's not even damage creep mitigation. It's just like strategy creep mitigation. Like, because you just played around alts, and if they come up less often, then you have to play more off of skill than just like relying on alts to win a fight.
I think one reason why they did it is that if you go back and look at Overwatch League, look at how many team fights in a row you have Brig on both sides popping Rally at the exact same time. How many double grabs, how many like trans, things like that. I think that by lowering it a little bit, you do have to be a little bit more strategic in when you deploy them.
So to be fair, I think there is something to be said that especially like you have to take GOAT's meta as like a different context than normal 2-2 gameplay now, because charge times for almost every ult is faster because you have this giant meat pool of HP that can basically be farmed for free ults, right?
I mean,
So I
but
think even without this change, if we were to go into 2-2 roll lock, I think we'd see slower ultimate charge times. But I think again, I think a lot of this is that people have just gotten better at the game, and
Yeah.
as people get insanely more accurate and better at how to play the game, they charge ults faster. And if you were to compare, like, I think this probably puts ult charge times similar to how they were maybe, at the start of Overwatch League Season 1 or earlier or something like that.
I think it's just telling how fast a Zarya and Overwatch League can get their ult when Zarya's ult's like one of the slowest to charge. Like, I think it has like one of the slowest passive charge rates, and also it's just like notoriously difficult to start charging Zarya's ult before you get high charge.
But again, if you look at particularly in goats, right? If you look at how
No, I
good
know.
Zarya
I get
is
what you're
charge
saying.
grab, it's like it's min maxing, right? It's like definitively choosing to farm a specific tank or try to land right clicks on like an entire group of 6 people, and that's not something that you'll encounter in 2-2.
But even like at the end of the non-goats era, you still saw Zarya's getting ults like way faster from the beginning of the season 1. Like, alt charge was just silly fast. Because like they knew how to they just got better working with their teams and like knowing how to play Zarya against other teams. The alt charge in general is just really fast now. Especially
Yeah.
Brigitte. So stupid how fast she gets her ultimate.
And Baptiste, I actually really don't like how quickly Baptiste charges his ultimate, and I wish they'd slow it down.
I still can't figure out when and where to use his ult.
I
Chokes.
guess the balancing
Other than chokes.
I guess the balancing of his ult is that you don't there's not like a perfect I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. It's a lot more situational than most other alts are to use, because there's only like really specific situations where like you can get optimum usage out of it because it's 2-dimensional.
Okay. So, changing subjects to our last topic of the night, the new schedule for 2020 in Overwatch League came out, including new divisions, new pretty much everything. Other than that, what do you guys think of what they're going to be doing for 2020?
I think the Atlantic division's
Squid, you're muted.
why is he muted?
He's muted in Zoom. I haven't touched it. See, it's not me. It's not me. It's not
Atlantic
me.
division's gonna be boring. It's gonna be even more boring than last year. I don't know what's happening.
Nope. I'm unmuting you on my end, and it's not me.
I mute. It said that I was muted by the host and
I
could not
did not
unmute
touch it.
myself.
You threw.
Hooray.
Anyway, so Squid, what would you like to say to that?
Say to what? I missed it because I was yelling about how I'm muted.
Overwatch League, the schedule for 2020.
So I'm excited to see teams go to their home cities, obviously. No, like, that's awesome. We haven't really seen that in esports before. It's a great thing. You get to see teams try to pull from their home market, which is great. With that being said, I do not like that teams can choose like how many how many homestand events they have. I think when you look at basically every other traditional sport to ever exist that has had home games, you have an equal number of home and away games. And I think in Overwatch League, I don't think you can have an equal number of home and away games just with a league this wide. But I think that every team should be having the same number of home games or homestand weekends across the space.
The logic may be because they don't have permanent facilities yet, and they don't want to force people into hosting. Like, I think the logic is they should be able to choose how many events they want to host just because of like how much availability they have to get like a site and set it up and arrange like publicity and all that. Like it seems like because Dallas has 5, which is 3 more than the minimum, that they're pretty confident in arranging a venue and arranging it so it's like a quality event. Meanwhile, like a smaller team like Guangzhou or Washington or the Outlaws, who have more budget issues, wouldn't want to host as many homestands because it's going to be more expensive and they're not going to have as much funds to make it cool. So they're going to limit it to the minimum so they can have quality events but a lower quantity. So I think for like the first year, I think it's a good idea. And it's, yeah.
I get that, but also teams paid like $20 to $50 million to be in this league. You should be able to sling some fucking money around to promote your team in its home market. Like this is what I feel like if you've bought into the league, like this is what you've been waiting for, right? This is your chance to finally pull in, from outside of the endemic fan pool. You can pull in people from your hometown to come to events, and then just be like, "Oh, we're just gonna do like 1 or 2." It's just like, nah, it's not our thing this year. We're not ready. Like this should be what like the management for teams should be all about right now. And I think it's kind of shitty that there are teams that aren't taking full advantage of that. And as I say that, I hope to God that my team does 5 homestands, but I haven't heard yet. So
I
fingers
don't know.
crossed.
All I know is the Atlantic Division looks shitty. It's a shitty division.
I was gonna
You know
say,
what?
It's
The
really
Pacific Division was shit last season. It happens. Atlantic's gonna get better in
But-
2-2-2,
making up
and it's
for it this season.
it's
So-
always a problem that happens in sports. There are always
Oh, yeah, there's
conferences
always-
or divisions that are better or worse any given year.
But like, I saw a comparison, and the 12th. I don't remember who's in last place in the Pacific Division. Oh,
looking at it on here, it looks like it's either the Hunters or the Valiant.
I think it's the Valiant. Valiant, who are last place in the Pacific Division in terms of map differential and win to loss ratio, is 5th in the Atlantic Division, I believe. So like the Atlantic
Okay, but,
Division is performing significantly lower than the Pacific.
But like you don't have a fucking Mayhem and Justice dragging your division down by
But that
being absolute papagas.
if it was just those two dragging it down, then the Valiant would be like
then
9th or
Valiant.
10th,
Okay,
not
so
5th.
if we gave you Florida, then Valiant would be what?
11th and 4th.
Wait, what?
Like if Mayhem was in Pacific, and would Valiant still be in Pacific? I don't know what you're saying. I lost it. I lost the thread.
I don't know. Anyway,
Like
I don't think it particularly matters.
I mean,
Especially having playoff play-ins, it really doesn't fucking matter.
no, but in terms of watchability and what's boring as fuck, some of the Atlantic matchups are gonna be.
I mean, just don't watch Mayhem or Justice games, and everyone else at least in 2-2-2, pretty much every other
I
team
don't
would be
know.
watchable.
Justice actually might be good now.
I was gonna say that with their Ellie Vote and Little Sush,
Little Shish.
Those guys.
Little Shish, is he a rapper?
Those guys, I expect to come in and make a fairly significant impact on Justice right away.
Playing on Friday.
We actually have some spicy matchups this week or this stage. Like it's actually crazy. But going back to like, is there a worst possible division for the Dallas Fuel to be in than what they're in? They have the Valiant. They have the Valiant, Gladiators, Shock, and Titans all in the same division.
Wow.
That get fucking good again.
But like that division is just going to cannibalize each other. It's especially when you factor in the East Division, it all makes sense. It's Chengdu, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Seoul. That all makes sense geographically, but man, that West Division is just going to cannibalize.
Yeah, they're just gonna.
I think
that
you know what? Maybe this is the push that Fuel needs to actually stop being
I was gonna say
mediocre for 2
they might
seasons.
actually be better next season with that schedule. They might actually be good.
Yeah. I say that with love because I want them to be good.
Yeah.
But
I still contend
they
that
need to
the
figure something out.
2-2-2 roll lock is going to benefit Dallas more than a lot of other teams.
Yes.
Because if you
And
can actually
Valiant
be in a situation where you can let your
Gladiators.
killers like AKM and Taimu and Zachary on DPS characters, I think it's going to go well.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. The only thing I see Taimu playing in 2-2-2 in this meta is Hog as a tank. And I don't
maybe
think
Ash
Zachary
sometimes.
and AKM are flexible enough DPS duo to contend with the better DPS duos in the league.
I don't
I think
think
that's
they're going to
something
be
that's going to
like
hamper them.
top of the class, but I think they're going to be better than they are right now because they're going to actually be able
That's
to
not hard, to be fair.
They're going to beat some other teams because their DPS is actually pretty good. It's just they won't be able to flex against like the good teams
I
as
think
well as they would.
if they're playing a DPS duo that is like their comfort picks and they don't get countered or pushed out of that, I think they'll be quite good.
I would
Once teams figure out what that is and know how to play around that and force them to change, I think they're going to have a very hard time.
I would hesitantly say that they would be top, probably I'm going to say number 8 or 9, tentatively.
They're definitely in the
Next
top half of
season.
the table, I think.
Yes,
But it's
not super high up there.
yeah,
but top
I'm
8 or
not
9.
saying super high, and I think people genuinely discount Zachary and his flexibility.
I've never really seen him play
I mean,
anything but Brig, to be honest.
I watched a lot of his stream when he was in World Cup, and then I watched what he was able to do in last year's World Cup, and he had some amazing flexibility on hit scan and projectiles. To answer chat, I feel doesn't have like a Pharah specialist.
It
I
would
don't.
be Zachary.
It would be
He would the one
Zachary,
that
and
has to play Pharah.
I don't know how his Pharah stacks up on an owl level. I just haven't seen enough of it, and that'll be a big key is to see how that actually unfolds.
They might just pick up a Farah projectile specialist though, in light of the 2-2-2.
I
Very
imagine Zachary being like a very very budget EQO
Mhm.
where he's going to have about as wide of a pool, but I don't think he's going to shine or pop off on nearly as many heroes as we see someone like EQO do.
He'll just be there.
So I think he'll be serviceable. He'll be kind of like that Swiss Army knife for Fuel, where the blade isn't too sharp, but he has a lot of tools on there that Fuel can use. And I think how management chooses to use that and play around that, and how the other players on that team play around that, will dictate the success that Fuel has to some extent.
All right, so for the last topic, I want to get you guys on record for what you guys think is going to happen during Stage 4. So as Stage 4 rolls out with the 2-2-2 and all that kind of fun stuff, Squid, who do you think is going to take it in Stage 4? And if you
Fusion London Grand Finals, let's go. Easy clap. No, I think that Spark is going to be really strong. I think they've really started to fit the pieces together, and I think they have a roster that's going to thrive even more in 2-2-2.
Yes.
I think that Shock is going to have a little bit of growing pains because I think they're going to have a bit of shakeup in their lineup. In particular, I'm really interested to see if we still see Sinatra in a starting position.
I don't even know who their DPS
Striker
are.
is too
Striker and
good to sit on the
Architect.
bench in 2-2-2.
You have Striker, Rascal, Sinatra, and Sinatra has said that if the meta shifts away from goats, he does not expect to start.
I think Rascal.
And Super has said that he's more than happy to sit out for Smurf, Smurf, they're back
Yes.
up. If something happens, like I think Super's ball is pretty lacking.
And Architect, can't forget Architect.
Yeah,
Architect's their Resident Widow. Yeah.
They have a sick roster, but I don't think teams can easily so you can easily just swap someone in, like another player in, but after 3 stages of playing with basically the same lineup, I think you will have growing pains swapping in even just like 1 or 2 people.
Yep.
Especially, I think Sinatra has likely been kind of one of the not like leader figures, but like one of the like morale boosters on the team. And I think like similar role, honestly, to probably like kind of what Jake plays on Houston. And I think losing him will cause problems for them. I am curious to see how Titans will do. We've talked about that. I don't know how it's going to go yet. I think it can go either way.
They're going to pop off.
We will see.
Stitch and Hacksaw, like actually in practice in as a DPS duo, it's gonna be that's
But I
gonna be
think-
fun.
Yeah, I think I think the majority of the Atlantic Division will get better, and we won't see such a wide divide. Philly will be good. Spitfire will be good. I'd like to see. Honestly, I think Mayhem might get better, and I think Justice. I will have to see if Elivote and Lolshish can carry the rest of the dumpster fire that is Justice.
It'd be
and
cool to see
Stratus.
Paris Eternal
No,
start performing, but
No.
they won't because they haven't picked up anyone in their
Cruz
exactly
is
the
a
same.
fucking feeder.
Cruz, God, I don't. During the watch point thing last week, they showed a clip of him like getting pissed and slamming desk. I was like, well, I'd be like that if I sucked as much as you did too. He's
Savage.
He's so bad.
Damn, son. That was
Like,
brutal.
it's like
We're gonna add Cruz on that one on Twitter and see
how
what
is
happens.
Soon? Is it Soon who's on the
Yeah.
Paris Eternal? How are Soon and Cruz on the same team? How did they think? Like, how did they pick up Soon and say yes?
Because they
Let's
tried
pair
to
him
build.
with this fellow.
I will explain to you why.
Oh, I know why, but
They tried to build an EU super team.
They should have just gotten Stylosa
but Fusion
instead of
already
Cruz.
had the good EU players.
They should have gotten Cruz
or some of the good EU
Stylosa.
players. They should. Ooh, they should pick up Parry Hook. That would be a really good trade, or not trade.
it would be
a really good move.
It just depends on what Dallas picks up in return.
But Fuel, I mean, Fuel's starting closer anyway, right? Harry Hook hasn't really been a starter for them since like season 1. So,
but he's iconic. He's their poster boy.
Yeah, it's gonna make me sad when Mickey and Harry Hook and Taimu are all off that team. Even though Mickey's
anymore, so
I mean, yeah, Mickey is basically off the team. He is just the resident gun show.
Yeah, it's true.
Maple,
strong boy.
What's your prediction?
Oh, it's hard to tell because there's no balance changes.
Hot takes. Fuck it. None of this nuanced. I don't know shit. Give us hot takes.
It pisses me off that they did the 2-2-2 without balance changes. It seems like a really bad decision because Sombra's still gonna be Sombra's still a pretty dominant choice even with 2-2-2, and no, I don't know why I said Brig. Brig sucks in 2-2-2. Holy shit, I'm losing it.
We definitely won't see Mickey play this stage.
I think. Well, Shanghai Dragons, I'd be curious to see what their comp is going to be like now that they can't do their weird triple DPS thing. I think LA Valiant's going to do better. I think that Surefour being let out of his weird little zoo onto DPS again will be cool to watch because they can finally play again. Chengdu Hunters, I'm excited to see them show up in a non-goats meta. I want to see Ameng Papa on Wrecking Ball. I think a lot of the underrated teams are going to do a lot better, and I think the Charge are just a shitty team.
You won't save that team.
I haven't watched a lot of the Charge. I'm not very impressed by any of their lineup. I don't think any of them are exceptionally good. Like, to be honest, I think Fraggy was actually a good pickup for them.
I still don't think he'll start.
He's not going to do much because like their DPS lineup is pretty fucking weak. But it's kind of sad that Fraggy is like a strong pickup because he's not that good of a main tank anymore.
As a lover of Fraggy, I'm not convinced that he was a good pickup for Charge. Like, as in, I love him as a man, but he needs a very particular team to play behind him, a very particular play style, and that's not something that I think he will find with Charge or really any Overwatch League. I think he is not adaptable enough to perform at a high level in the Overwatch League.
I know they
said it. I love you, Fraggy.
He's beautiful. He's a beautiful caveman.
He's a fucking beautiful boy. Holy shit.
I know they have Happy. Their tank lineup is not good enough to support Happy.
And their flex DPS slot is pretty weak.
Happy can't support 5 other people on his broad.
Ask Saya player. Mayhem tried it. Doesn't work.
Although he showed up, he was there for like 3 stages, and he did his darndest. And Toronto Defiant. Toronto Defiant's gonna fucking slay the Atlantic Division, I think. with Logix and Mangachu on 222, I think they're gonna do a lot better than they did this last stage.
Doubt. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not sold on Defiant.
I mean, going from an 0-7 team to probably a 1-6 team, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah,
And I think that's and I love my dude Mangachu, but like their bar is low.
I just have hopes because I love Logix and I love Mangachu. They're like my
And
2 favorite DPS in the league besides Surefour.
the Toronto Defiant team might be the most likable team for me. When you have
Yes.
Logix and Gods and Mangachu, like
God,
okay.
this is so funny.
Oh yeah, no, he's probably next to Stratus from Washington Justice. He's the best follow in the league right now.
Who's on Atlanta Rain? I
Baby
don't even
Bay,
remember.
Dogman,
Oh, Baby Bay.
Masa,
Masa,
Who's their DPS besides Baby Bay?
Pokpo,
Pokpo.
Dako,
Who's their DPS besides Baby Bay?
Baby Bay,
Erster.
and
I'm not familiar
And they
with
have
him.
Enlier or whatever, how the fuck you say his name, who's an
Oh,
insane
yeah, and-
sniper. Actually, I'm looking forward to seeing him in Stage 4 again because he was disgusting at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I don't hold that much hope for them either, but they're like in the same bracket as the Defiant. Like I like them, but I don't think they're gonna be too good.
Yeah, Logix and Gods can't save Defiant, and I love Mangachu, but I think he is incredibly good on his specialized characters and is a liability on not his special characters.
He just changes so often. He needs to stop changing. He needs to like sit on one character and just play
He
it.
just needs
That
to
is
play
true.
fucking Pharah and Torp.
Like he's flexing too hard, which I didn't think was possible, but it's true. He's flexing too hard.
I don't know if that's always up to the player or if that's like a call made by other people.
I'm not saying it's his fault. No, but I'm just saying like in general, like they should just choose a character, like put him on Hanzo or Mei or whatever the fuck. I don't care, and let him just kill things without him switching every 10 seconds and wasting alt charge.
So the Defiant play the Justice, the Spitfire, Shanghai, Philly, Florida, Seoul, and Florida again. So there's
win
3
both
wins in there
Florida
that
matches.
I can find.
They might win against Justice. They might win against Seoul.
I see them winning against both the Florida matchups, and I see them winning against Justice.
I could see them in some strange role winning against Seoul.
I think people are sleeping on Florida a little bit. They
I mean, maybe now
started
it's
to
hard
look
to
like
tell.
they can put the pieces together.
They did that
I think
last season.
out of 33. No, but like they've actually had legitimately good looks in the last stage.
That last
Hey,
season though.
I got the BQB jersey up behind me.
My
You
condolences.
should like get a frame for that because right now it just looks like you're doing your dry cleaning.
I mean, maybe.
It's looking a little rough up there.
The Fanatics sizing for fat guys like me is sketch.
Rough and tumble.
Just don't be fat, forehead.
I'm trying. Anyway, with that, before this devolves like the end of our last show, let's go ahead and cut it off right there. It was a good show. Thank you, everybody. Squid, do you have anything you would like to promote before we go off the air?
Follow me on Twitter at Squid on the Base. I'm sorry that my mic is still scuffed, guys. I promise.
it's
There's
so
only like
scuffed.
4 or 5 more weeks of this, and then I'm free and back on real person internet and audio setup. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. That's it. I don't have anything else that's cool going on in my esports life, at least. Professional life is looking pretty good right now.
Maple.
Follow me at MapleStarpOW. Follow the Batcat Pod at the Batcat Pod.
Like our memes, retweet them.
Yeah, I posted a JoJo's one the other day, and I laughed at it when I posted it.
You sound like such an old man. I posted that JoJo meme. Fellow children.
I posted a JoJo
it was my
meme,
birthday
and I laughed while
yesterday. If you
posting
didn't
it.
send me a birthday gift, then you are
Wait.
living your life wrong.
How did we know that it was your birthday yesterday? I didn't get an announcement on the Hilo.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't do it. I wasn't
There was
there.
no one responsible for that.
That was
anymore.
gonna
This
be
is the
the
biggest
highlight of
travesty.
my day, and then I didn't get it. I was
Yep.
actually really sad.
After this podcast, I'm gonna go on the Elo Health staff server.
Like I mentioned
They
it.
Do
can
it.
go to the
passing.
manager's channel and task someone with being the new birthday.
The
poster.
I
actual
mentioned
you
it
need
in
to
passing yesterday, and March said happy birthday, and that was it.
I was
you
hopeful
need
it's
to
yesterday.
actually task
I know
somebody
you
who
were.
gives a shit about the staff.
Also, Hop sent me a Snapchat. I felt very
Tough.
loved.
The last thing I'm going to mention before we take off is that I do see two people I need to shout out in chat. They are members of the Washington State University Overwatch TESPA team. Let's go, Coos. Let's hopefully. I'm working on getting you guys a coach. I will see. Maybe. I got a couple bites already. We will see.
Meister.
So, anyway, with that, love you guys. I hope you guys have a great night, and we will catch you next week.